Hi, I'm Naomi Folkard, member of the Olympic archery team going to Tokyo later this year. Today I'm going to show you how to set your limb alignment. Now I'm going to use my own bow today, so different models or manufacturers might vary slightly, but the principles are going to be about the same. If you're not entirely sure how your system works, do not be afraid to take it apart and have a look for yourself. Like, the best way of learning is like physically trying, and if you're worried that it won't go back together, there are so many YouTube videos out there that will show you how to put your specific bow back together. The equipment that you need is a pair of biter limb gauges, a load of Allen keys that fit into the bow. You need a straight long rod without V-bar and bolts and things, because that gives the opportunity for the long rod to be heading off in the wrong direction. And you need something to rest the bow on so that the limb is free, away from torque if it's leaning on the floor. So this is the limb pocket with nothing in it. This is the plate, which has to go in really square. The limb dowel fits in here, and we have 2 screws in either side, which will move this from side to side, which moves the limb from side to side. First thing to do is to undo the fastening screws and take them out. I've set my limbs in the pocket all the way over to the left. From one side to the other side is about 1.5 full turns of the Allen keys. So to get it in approximately the middle, I'm going to do 3/4 of a turn. So from down there, 3/4 of a turn, and then tighten that 3/4 of a turn, and then the same on the bottom. So the limb gauge needs to go about 1 inch above the riser on the top limb and 1 inch below the riser on the bottom limb. I've got a cheat that I find quite reliable, because if I'm looking at the top limb gauge and then I look at the bottom, my head can move. So I like to use my phone. So make sure in the screen you can see the end of your long rod, the top limb gauge and the bottom limb gauge. On video mode, press record and then gradually move from the string being on the left side to the right side. And then you can go back and have a look with the pause function, and then slide until it's right, and then zoom in and scroll up and down on the picture, and you can see exactly the right picture. I'm zooming in on the top limb gauge, and then I scroll forward and backwards on the video until the string is bang down the middle of the top limb gauge, and then I can scroll down the picture. I see that the string is to the right of the long rod, and then I scroll down to the bottom of the bottom limb gauge, and I can see that the string is on the right. Now if I go backwards with the video, so that the string is bang on the middle of the bottom limb gauge, and then go up, I see that the string is down the middle of the long rod. Now that gives the impression that the bottom limb gauge, the bottom limb, is set correctly, and it's the top one that I need to adjust. If you're not sure which way to move your, just have a go. Just move it in one direction. If it makes it worse, go in the other, which is what I normally do. So I've moved it about 1/3 of a turn to the right. I'm really happy with the position of the top limb now that the string goes right down the middle of the top limb bolt and right down the middle of the long rod. It's just a little bit off at the bottom, so I'm going to adjust the bottom limb bolt. You can see that I've got the top and bottom limb bolts in line with each other very nicely, but the long rod is just off to the side, which means I need to adjust the top and the bottom exactly the same. Now you can see I've done a pretty good job a few attempts later. The string is going down the middle of the top limb gauge. Scroll down and see it's going through the middle of the long rod, and it's going through the middle of the bottom limb gauge. Just a note that I probably should have said earlier, make sure that you have a neutral light source. So if you're indoors, it's normally pretty good, or if you're outdoors, make sure the sun is behind you or in front of you. so that you don't see one side of the string a lot brighter than the other side and get like a fake reading. Okay, so I need to tighten everything down in both limb pockets. I left both Allen keys in, and I think it was the right one that I was adjusting from last. Ideally I would have taken that Allen key out to remind me that it's the left one I need to turn to tighten without moving the limb pocket. So I'll do that now. So I can tighten it and the limb pocket's not moving, and then I'll do the same at the bottom. All I need to do now is put in the fixing screws. Now the thread inside, it's an expandable thread, so you just need to do them up finger tight. You don't need to like really crank them down because you can damage that expandable thread.